Something strange is going on as the Pittsburgh Steelers search for their next quarterback for the 2025 NFL Draft. My name is Peyton Kleppe, and on today's episode of Steelers Digest, we'll be breaking down the latest Pittsburgh Steelers news, reports, and trade rumors that could happen as they look to get their next quarterback in the 2025 NFL Draft or in free agency. Before we get into it, just click that subscribe button down below if you guys are not currently subscribed already. Only 9% of our viewers are currently subscribed. So if you click that subscribe button, we're going to get you guys the latest Pittsburgh Steelers news, reports, trade rumors, anything Pittsburgh Steelers, we will get a video out to you daily. Let's get right into it. We got some more news about Aaron Rodgers and his possible future with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let's get right into it. So like I said, Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers have been connected once again, as supposedly he has gone dark on the Pittsburgh Steelers after visiting them and having his little throwing session with DK Metcalf at, I believe, UCLA. There was some pictures of them together, and they were throwing some routes. So it's always good to see that. Good to see two guys that are maybe going to be in Pittsburgh this season, maybe not. Obviously, DK will be, and we paid him that long-term deal. But Aaron Rodgers kind of teased the whole fan base by, meeting up with DK and throwing around with him. And Aaron Rodgers, on Pat McAfee's show, he had nothing but good things to say about the Pittsburgh Steelers. He didn't close the door on them, but he did say that he has a lot of things to think about before signing with the football team, including, he's apparently in a serious relationship. So congratulations to him, but obviously that takes away from the football game. When your mind is on something else and it's not on football, you're not going to get the best version of yourself. So obviously that could play a major factor in his decision whether or not he wants to come to Pittsburgh or even play football in general. This guy has also floated out rumors about just retiring and calling it quits after that 2-season stint with the New York Jets. Obviously, he did not do so hot down there, and he may just look that he might think that I've had enough in my career. He's definitely earned enough. He's definitely well compensated. Doesn't ever have to work a day in his life again. So he could just call it quits if he wants and right away on the sunset. But he would have that little sour taste in his mouth with that 2-year stint with the Jets. Obviously, had a pretty abysmal time with them. First year, he tore that Achilles. Second year, didn't do so well. Went like 4 and however many, but obviously he didn't do so hot, and the Jets sucked once again and missed out on the playoffs. So, but he did leave the door open, and he could end up signing with the Pittsburgh Steelers. In his interview with Pat McAfee, he did say that he has talked to Coach Tomlin multiple times, and he also confirmed that Coach Tomlin is way more than a better person in person than he's ever thought. And hats off to Coach T. Obviously, some people believe that he's not a good head coach and believe that we should move on from him, but this guy has been a great coach year in, year out, and whether or not you do hate on him, he's never had a losing season, and that is impressive. He's been in the playoffs multiple times. He's won a Super Bowl, so you got to give your hats off to Coach Tomlin, and obviously keeping things simple and keeping in contact with Aaron Rodgers. So if Aaron Rodgers decides that he doesn't want to sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers and he decides that he just wants to retire or decides to sign with the Minnesota Vikings or another team that is quarterback needy, the Pittsburgh Steelers could look to go in another direction. A guy like Jalen Milroe in the draft could be linked to the Pittsburgh Steelers in the first round, or if they trade for a second-round pick, they could select him in the second round. But, he's a guy that would have to be a project quarterback, but, sitting behind Mason Rudolph with his little goatee going on now, could be dangerous. Lamar Jackson had to sit behind Joe Flacco for a year, and obviously we know how good he is in Baltimore. So, Jalen Milroe could look to come into Pittsburgh and show that he's even better than Lamar Jackson and show who the true king of the NFC or AFC North is. I'm sorry. Dethrone Joe Burrow, dethrone Lamar Jackson. And obviously, we know what's going on in Cleveland with Kenny Pickett and Joe Flacco. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers, whatever quarterback they get next, will still be better than their quarterback situation. Obviously, they got Deshaun Watson as well, and we know he's a whole head case. So But anyways, back to it. The Pittsburgh Steelers could look to address the quarterback situation in the draft. Another name that has been linked to the Pittsburgh Steelers is obviously Shedeur Sanders. He did come in for the visit, and he did rank the Pittsburgh Steelers as a 10 on his visit. There was kind of some controversial reports coming out about Shedeur Sanders and that whole situation, but the Pittsburgh Steelers have only spoken highly about him. Coach Tomlin said that Shedeur has definitely played well for the state of Colorado, for that college. He's won a ton of games. He's done a lot of things for his team. So obviously he put it on tape. Coach Tomlin did say, and he did say that, he likes Shedeur Sanders. So Shedeur Sanders could be a realistic person to come to Pittsburgh if the New Orleans Saints do not draft him, or the New York Giants, who could look to pick him at that 3rd overall spot, or they could look to get a guy like Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter, depending on the first 2 picks. But we'll have to wait and see. Tomorrow is the draft. I do expect the Pittsburgh Steelers to address that quarterback position. Whatever round it will be, we will have to wait and see. But it will happen, whether it is Quinn Ewers, whether it is Jalen Milroe, whether it is Shedeur Sanders, whether it is Tyler Show, whether it is one of those guys, or it is Aaron Rodgers. I believe that the Pittsburgh Steelers will make the right decision and we'll figure it out. But, this whole situation with Aaron Rodgers has definitely left a sour taste in my mouth, and I'm ready for change. I don't know about you guys. So I think either way, coming out of tomorrow, we should have some high hopes. Whether or not Aaron Rodgers decides that he finally wants to come in and sign the contract and decide that, this is not the Aaron Rodgers team. This is the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I'm shutting my mouth, and I'm playing for Coach Tomlin. I'm playing for Arthur Smith. If he decides to do that, then come on in. But if not, either way, this does not affect the Pittsburgh Steelers draft plans. They're going to take a quarterback in that 1st round or that 3rd round or that 4th round. We still have a lot of picks, even after trade in that 2nd round pick for DK Metcalf. We still have a lot of rounds, but we definitely do have a lot of positions to address, like the running back position, that defensive line, that offensive line, that number 2 cornerbacks position alongside Joey Porter Jr. We need a guy to replace Dante Jackson, and especially we do need quarterback. And I do believe the Pittsburgh Steelers will address it early, but we'll have to wait and see who falls to us in that 1st round. The Pittsburgh Steelers have pretty much met with every single quarterback coming out of this draft that is a 1st or 2nd round prospect. But this is a big draft for a lot of people in Pittsburgh. It's a big draft for Omar Khan, who's been the GM for the past couple years after Kevin Colbert has stepped down. And it's a big draft for Coach Tomlin. Coach Tomlin has been under a ton of scrutiny the past couple years after not being able to get off that wild card playoff hunt. And he's definitely been scrutinized for getting that just over 500 win total and doing nothing in the playoffs and having that late season collapse. So that is all I have for you guys tonight on Steelers Digest. We will have to wait and see what Aaron Rodgers does. I will definitely keep you posted and make a video if he does decide to sign. But if you guys are not currently subscribed, click that subscribe button down below. Thank you so much. Here we go, Steelers. Peace out, boys.